So I just popped down to the allotment today to do a quick harvest, and I'm just doing salads today for the next 7 days for just Debbie and I thought I'd just take you along, show you the sorts of things we're picking at this time of year. This year we grew our salad carrots under the brassicas, and they're just perfect little specimens. They were planted really late, I don't know, sometime in July, but that's what you want with salad carrots. You just want these little cute little babies. I just love these. But that's not the only crunch that we have in our salad mixes at this time of year, because we have oca. So these are oca, one of our favourite winter salad ingredients. And if you think of these as potatoes, then the yield from them is terrible. But if you think of them as a winter radish, then the yield is really great. Since there's not many winter radishes around. Now, ideally you would leave these until the frost gets them, and then they put on a lot of growth then. But in this case, I've got so many that I need to get them harvested now. And I gotta say, I'm pretty pleased with this harvest. The size of them is pretty good, and they just look so beautiful. And they've got this amazing zesty lemony taste, but actually it's not so much the taste for me, it's just the fresh crunchiness of them. They're just absolutely gorgeous, and obviously they'll clean up and look even nicer. But what seems to happen is when the frost gets the tops, these tubers absorb all the goodness from all of this succulent top growth, and they just put on loads of growth as they kind of suck all the juices down from the leaves and the stems. So I'm kind of wasting a bit, but then that's the thing with gardening. If you want an early crop, and we don't have any radishes now, so if you want an early crop of something to replace your radishes, then you just have to sacrifice a little bit of yield for the sake of a lovely rich diet. And that's kind of what we only have, a couple of them in each salad every day, so we don't need a huge number. Just look at all that top growth though. Just imagine how much of a bigger yield I would have got. So that is not too bad. Am I going to take another one? No, I don't think I'll take another one. I think that's enough. I'll clean these up and show you what they look like. There is a little bit of damage on some of them, just a touch there, like you can see. So that, I don't know, but we've not grown them enough to know whether that's a good yield per plant or not. I don't think it is. I think you might expect maybe twice as much of that as that if you picked them in sort of the middle of December rather than late November. I have a huge number of salad onions in the ground normally. Well, in fact, I've got loads in the ground at the moment. They're all interplanted into the salad beds, and they're growing really nicely, and I'm very happy with them, but they're not quite ready. And although, of course, I could pick them as really tiny baby onions, I really don't want to do that. I just want to let them grow on. And so that means I've just got to eat these really grotty ones that I've got in this bed. But they do clean up reasonably well. So hopefully I've got just enough here for another week, and then I'll hit the main crop beds. So that's almost empty, And this bed actually isn't going to be used until May time, when I plant my winter brassicas, colettes and sprouts, and some calabrese interplanted for summer. And I hate having ground that's not planted, so I'm probably going to pop some field beans in there, because they're going to really give me a nice harvest in March, April time, probably, if I plant them now. So they clean up reasonably well. We eat all the tops as well, of course. So I'm in the Polytunnel now, and this is one of my experimental areas of salads. And although this was recommended to me as a really great winter lettuce, you could probably see in there I've got some green fly. So that one is coming out. To be honest, I have not been that impressed with it. It's not that great. And to say we've hardly had any frosts, this is not performing. This one has actually been pretty good. This is a summer lettuce, and I really love it in summer. This is Canasta, and I liked it so much I thought, well, we'll give it a go over winter, and it's still actually doing quite nicely. Really crisp leaves and an extremely crisp rib to it. But this one is also got a little bit of green fly. So I'm going to take all of this out. Unfortunately, I've got some really gorgeous Navara that are ready for planting, and so I'm going to give those a go. I don't normally do Navara over winter because it does suffer a little bit from mildew, but that's what I've got, so I'm going to put that in. As I'm fond of saying, I hate to see a bit of bare ground over winter, well, at any time of year really. So I'm leaving the polytunnel beds for harvest days when the sun's not shining, and so I'm going to get on and start harvesting these. So we're just doing a little harvest today just for Debbie and I, and this is flashy trout. It's quite a good winter lettuce. And then this is Canasta, so this is the one that had the green fly in the polytunnel. No sign of green fly out here under this little low tunnel. So I'm going to harvest a bit of all of this bed, and at the same time I'll take off any leaves like this that are not of edible quality. I never like to leave a leaf on the plant that I'm not going to eat, and as a general rule anyway, there just doesn't seem to be much point the plant putting energy into growing that leaf if it's not going to get eaten. And also, leaves of non-edible quality tend to be the ones that attract disease, and obviously that means we keep the bed nice and disease free. Of course, I just take off the outer leaves, but I don't do this in midwinter, so January, February time, because I want to start clearing beds for things like beetroot and early carrots, and so I will take whole heads, and of course that means harvesting in the worst weather is much quicker. This is a very slow and laborious way of harvesting, and obviously nobody who's growing for profit would harvest this way. It's just so ridiculously inefficient, but it's okay, you know, for me, because I harvest in such a small amount. But I think much beyond our harvest volume, which is about £12,000 worth of food a year, and which just feeds our friends and family, you know, you wouldn't do this. So as I said, this is the Canasta. Can you hear the crunch? Such a lovely leaf. I did harvest this just a couple of days ago, so there's not many leaves on here, but I don't know whether you can hear the snap. Now, somebody mentioned to me, how do you keep the slugs and snails under control? Well, a lot of that is down to keeping your eyes open when you're harvesting. So I'm onto this bed, which is Roxy, and you'll see that I don't really like to let them get very big. As soon as they start getting quite tight hearts, then you tend to find a lot of slugs in the middle of them and lots of stem rot and things. So I like to keep them, reasonably small like this. So I'm starting to get quite a nice selection in here now. This is one of those beds that's being left to harvest in January and early February. This is one that's going to be harvested today. This is Grenoble Red. So that's cleared up, and there's a lot of wastage at this time of year. Lots of mildewy and soggy leaves. So it's important to keep on top of the harvest and not leave these too long. The rest of these will be harvested on Sunday, down to the same level as these. So now I'm just going to get a little bit of Pac Choi and Tatsoi. We don't grow very much because there's a lot of flea beetle and slug damage on it in our environment. So this is plenty, and we keep on top of the harvest, just taking the small leaves, which are really nice and crunchy, and a bit of salad rocket as well, just to add a bit of pep. So there we go, that's the whole harvest. I think there's about 25 litres there, and that's for Debbie and I for a week. And I actually harvest into water. There's water in the bottom third of this container, and when I finish the harvest I just tip it upside down with the lid on, obviously, and that just wets everything nicely, and I'll pop the lid on there, and then that's going to be okay now for an hour or so. So hope you like this quick video. My name's Steve, this is the Seaside Allotment channel, and I'll see you soon.